Good evening. It's been a long time since we've been here. Um, Recently, I have been reminiscing about the game. Um, 6 years that it has been gone, and lately I've found myself digging in some old boxes and rebuilding decks that I enjoyed playing in the past. I will say, some of these aren't the most powerful decks of the era, um, but they were ones I enjoyed playing. So, I'm going to explain the time period that these decks um, were around. So it at least makes a little more historical sense. See if I can get this to. Here we go. Let me get me out of the way. All right, now that I've locked those in. Change. All right. So those played toward the um, Jade story arc are familiar with Toturi's army. The Vigilant Keep of the Monkey was the Stronghold that was printed in Soul of the Empire. Um, 745 was pretty good stats in those days. Um, it had the base trait from Tituri's army of you can ignore followers' honor requirements, which is pretty standard back then. Um, but it's the line of text that reads your human personalities gain +1 chi. Each gain +1 chi. So they literally made this um, both as an anti-ninja stronghold. All my guys have higher chi, making it a little more difficult to send me home, but also ended up making it a ripe stronghold for dueling. And so Um, Obviously, we pack the Toshimoko Sensei. My focus is really weird. Um, so Toshimoko Sensei says all of my focus cards are +1 in duels, and my personalities cannot refuse challenges. Pretty standard for dueling decks. Um, Actually, I have this in reverse order. Let me. Sort that a little differently. So, holdings. Um, One copy of Kakitas the Sword doesn't produce any gold, but your samurai personality set +2 chi while this is in play. And then this is pretty standard gold for the era. 3 Jade works, 3 base camps, 3 of the Hiruma Dojo, sanctified temples. Easy way to give you honor. Now I've got a couple of cards in here that are oddball. Training Grounds and Diamond Mine. Regions. Most regions in the history of the game were either unplayable or busted. This is one of the strongest ones that they had. Golden Sun Plain, unique. When you produce gold by buying one of your holdings, it you increase it by 2, increase the production by 2, which was insane. Now, in this time frame, unique cards, if one player had a unique card out, if you had a unique card in your deck, you could not bring it out if the names are the same. This also referred to mirror matches where I'm running unique personalities and you're running unique personalities. So it was a pretty interesting time, a race to get it. Pretty standard now. Inheritance, Imperial Gift, gains you honor, searches you for an item. Typically, in a dueling deck, there's going to be a couple you're going to look for them. Kolat Duplicate, mess with your opponent's board state. It's sort of free removal. And then I ran Birth of the Sword instead of running some of the other events, taking a chance that you don't have a personality in play. Personalities. So all of the personalities in this version of the deck, I ran. I think the only one that I wanted to add that I hadn't dug out yet is Tohaku, if I remember the name correctly. So you have Step in the Cow, 3, 4, 5 gold, 3 personal honor. If your honor is below he sort of gets passed around if you're playing a dishonor matchup or a matchup where somebody else gains more honor than you. So obviously you want to gain honor pretty quickly. but it's hard to beat 3 force and 5 chi in this stronghold. Seppen Machida. Only a 2/2, but also 3 personal honor. His ability is rather interesting. Once per duel, immediately before he focuses for the first time in a duel, draw 3 fate cards. You can use one as your first focus card in the duel. For each of the other 2, you can either discard or return to the top of your fate deck in any order. So not only does he let you see, brainstorm if you will, see the top 3 cards of your deck, you get to focus on one of them and put the other 2 back or discard them. Which, by the way, is nuts. 3 copies to him. Now we get into ones with some lower personal honor. But Kasuki Kage, 14072, Magistrate, Toturi's Army Tactician. You can also not only play an honor dueling deck, but you can also switch into a military deck if you want to. So if somebody refuses one of your duels, you just bow him and go, no, you're dueling me anyway, deal with it. And it's pretty good on a 1/5. Suri, 2/4 or 2/5 in this deck. Blank, but has Tactician, so again, another high chi personality. And then another Magistrate, Makoto, 1/4 or 1/5 in this deck. Another 3 personal honor. He's like your second Magistrate in the deck with Kage. The offensive, or the ability can be used offensively or defensively, but you can use that in either way, whether you're defending with multiple personalities or whatever. Alright, now the rest of these personalities are strictly for their prowess. Of course, we have to have Toku. This is the Toku that comes in the starter deck. So he's a 1/5 with this Stronghold. He is a champion. Let me turn off this autofocus right quick. It's just starting to... So he has an ability, I'm gonna have to auto fix. No. All right. So immediately after another player targets Toku, I can give him a -1 chi token to negate the action's effects. So I can literally make him a one-man army. Now back in these days, unless the card said otherwise, you may use the action any number of times per turn. The drawback is cards had to be unbowed to use abilities unless stated otherwise. Yeah, 1-5 Toku was pretty good. He did some dumb things. Now this is the experienced version of Tohaku, and he has a built-in challenge or dueling ability, and the other person can't refuse if they have over 2 personal honors. So it was really good against Crane, Lion, some Unicorn decks. The base version of Tohaku gets a bonus if you're facing somebody. It may have just said Lion Clan personality, but I'm trying to remember if it's actually personal honor based. He was really good. Then we have Ginawa, and this is the Ginawa that attaches the. He has +4 against ninjas, and may attach a blood sword without gold cost. And then he can cancel honor losses and then challenge to basically reduce it to 0. Seppen Toshikin, the Emerald Champion. So he's a magistrate. Send home an opposing unit whose total printed force is less than or equal to his personal honor. So Sevenchi duels well, has a send home, and then diarrhea. Now, obviously, with the Toshimoku Sensei, I can't actually cancel duels involving diarrhea. It's mostly because it's a 4/5, 4 personal honor, double chi cavalry personality with a range 3 to deal with, to kill anything on board if necessary. I gotta dig out those Tohakus. As far as the Fate deck, so this has been shuffled, as you can easily tell. Let's see. Let's start with the weapons. The unique items. So you have Toturi's Dashio. So it's basically a unique weapon. It has a send home ability. It gains honor. So they didn't have a clan sword. Well, they didn't have a clan sword that gained them honor. They had Toturi's fan. This was the next one. There's some other cards you could run. Imperial Standard is another one that gains honor. You have to discard the Imperial Favor. There's also one you could run in here. Everything that I ran was exclusively usable for dueling. Golden Obi, the Sun Goddess, a +3 pump. This can only be personality with personal honor 2 or higher. It's anti-Shadowlands. You can bow a opposing Shadowlands card, and it can you can destroy the Obi instead of your personality, which was actually pretty good. And then you have the Armor of the Golden Samurai, which opponents dueling this personality may not focus cards with a value less than the personal honor of this personality. So basically, it could literally, depending on the personality you put it on, lock your opponent out from being able to focus. Not that that typically mattered, but there were some cards that players played. Um, Karmic Strike being a big one. Had a focus value, it was 0. Well, all my guys are at least a 2, so. Um, and then we were talking about blood swords, and of course, I pulled out the Imperial versions. +1/+1 for every duel you win, it gets a +2/+2 token. So, let's see. We got rings and followers. I think we only have the 2 rings in the deck. So all 3 of these all 3 of these followers are, 2 of them are unique, 1 of them is not. The 12th Ronin is just a the unique follower for Toturi's army. I thought it was relevant. Legion of 2000 is a tutor, is a one that tutors another follower. Typically, in most games, you're going to get Kinshizen, which basically, this being attached to your personality makes your duels unrefusable. Obviously, they add force, so if you actually wanted to go attack, you'd have the between these and the blood swords, you could probably attack very easily. Ring of Fire. The rings back in those days, their effect only worked if they were in play, and you had very stringent rules for putting them in play. A Ring of Fire. Basically, if you got this in the play, you get to see every card your opponent focused because they did it face up. And then Ring of Void. This is the one that was played in every deck, because at some point in the game your hand got emptied and you play this and you draw 5. And there were some decks that abused this. I'll show you a deck in another video that did. Several of them actually. So the rest of this is pretty I won't say standard or different. This version of the deck, and these are going to come out because these don't work. So this was designed as a military dueler. Winning by honor wasn't the main goal. You had a card like Deadly Ground, Superior Tactics, Block Supply Lines, Sneak Attacks, Rallying Cries, Counterattacks. So yeah, you would have you had many different ways you could build this. You could do a switch deck where you'd gain some honor early, pick off their personalities with duels, and then win by military, um, which is what this deck is attempting to accomplish. You could do a straight military dueler, um, which was like, I really don't care about honor, I just want to duel you, kill your personalities, and take your provinces. Or you could do the full honor version. Now, it's a little harder to do it out of um, Vigilant Keep of the Monkey, um, because you Crane uh, honor dueling was just faster because most of their personality base had higher personal honor on average, and you also had most of the time you were running the Stronghold. This is Bow Gain 2 honor, so you've got something efficient there. But what made the military dueler for the most part very good was the fact that many of the cards that you're running already had a 3 focus value. Sneak attacks, counterattacks had a 4, superior tactics, rallying cry. The only ones that were low was cards like Deadly Ground, and then your normal dueling suite of challenge and Aijutsu challenge and Aijutsu duels, who were 2s. And these 3 will have to come out because they don't fit. They technically could fit, but they're not that great in this build. And I don't know what I was thinking. Alright, so that is one of the decks in L5R's past history. I plan on doing more of these videos going forward, sort of explaining the ideas behind the deck and going over theoretical strategies, etc. I miss the old game, even though I'm playing others. There's still a void, if you will. As always, there is no escape from the tiger.